I am I am Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. Welcome to Intellectual Chocolate. This is our podcast where we talk about all the things that are happening in Black America, as well as just what I like to believe are thoughtful conversations. Even if we cuss every now and then, we can still be intelligent and cuss periodically. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm going to check in and see who's hanging out with me on Facebook. I don't have a whole lot of time. I actually have a meeting to go to in a minute. But I wanted to jump in and kind of talk about something that just came across my desk. A friend sent this to me. A friend of a friend of a friend of a friend sent me something that really got my attention, something that I thought would be worth discussing because I think a lot of us know this person that's involved with this situation. And some of us love him, some of us don't. But I think even if you don't love him, you got to respect him. His name is Mr. Tavis Smiley. Now, Tavis he's been in the game for a minute. You know, Tavis has been around on television. He's run lots of, major significant events within the Black community. He's done a lot of things that showed that he has an intense, unending love affair with the Black community. And that's one of the reasons why you will never really ever hear me say too many bad things about Tavis. I could say what I want, about little things, but the truth of the matter is that Tavis is a guy who has done a whole lot for the community, and that cannot be denied. And so before I forget, do me a favor, make sure you hit the share button, the subscribe button, the follow button, everything else. Because as you can see, Black media is dying by the second. And what we try to do is we wanted to have independent Black platforms where we can actually do our thing without the interference of people that think that they can control what Black people think and what we consume. So let me just jump into this. Okay, so here's the deal. I just got this story about Tavis being suspended by PBS, and I'm gonna pull the story up. And this is according to Variety, which is this other white media outlet out in Hollywood. And here I'll read some of this to you. It says PBS has suspended late night talk show host Tavis Smiley amid misconduct allegations against its host and namesake. Effective today, this is a quotation, and this is a quote. PBS has indefinitely suspended distribution of Tavis Smiley, produced by TS Media, an independent production company, the public broadcaster said. PBS engaged an outside law firm to conduct an investigation immediately after learning of troubling allegations regarding Mr. Smiley. This investigation included interviews with witnesses as well as with Mr. Smiley. The inquiry uncovered multiple credible allegations of conduct that is inconsistent with the values and standards of PBS, and the totality of this information led to today's decision. Sources close to the production told Variety that PBS hired attorney Sarah Taylor Works of the firm MSK to oversee an investigation into Smiley's behavior after receiving allegations of misconduct by Smiley, who hosts and produces the talk show. Works declined Variety's request for comment. According to sources, MSK took reports from 10 witnesses, a mix of men and women from different races and employment levels in Smiley's organization, most of them former staffers. So as you've seen recently, a lot of people on the chopping block, they're going after pretty much everybody with this Me Too thing. In some cases, you can say, they're cleaning the house, and maybe sometimes the house needs to be cleaned. Sometimes you got roaches and you got to go, oh, let me shut this down. Sorry. Sometimes you got roaches and you need to stamp the roaches out. But then sometimes you get into a situation that some would consider to be potentially a witch hunt. Sometimes you get into situations where you just can't help but to think that pretty much anybody who's ever done any fucking in the last 30 years is going down. So men, I will tell you right now, put your penises back in your pocket. Do not use them unless in case of it's a case of an emergency, and do not use them on a coworker, because apparently what's really going on right now is that if you are sleeping with anybody that you work with and that person is not at your level in the company or higher, then you are at risk. That's really what's kind of happening right now with all of this, because it's not. It would be one thing if we lived in a society where you were innocent until proven guilty, and that might be true in the court of law. You know, in the court of law, you are innocent until proven guilty theoretically, unless you're a black man, in which case you're guilty, and you probably won't be proven innocent. If you're a white woman, though, you're innocent forever, even if you are guilty. That's kind of how the law works. But in the workplace, you are guilty and until proven innocent, and even if you're proven innocent, you'll probably still be treated as guilty, and that's just kind of what's really happening. You're seeing people that have been around for many, many years. Charlie Rose is a white guy who works at PBS, and Charlie Rose has been there for, my God, probably 40, 50 years, and he had some allegations, and now Charlie Rose is gone, just poof. You know, it started with the Harvey Weinstein situation. Now, I will tell you that I had already heard stories about Harvey Weinstein, and I don't even hang out in Hollywood like that. I don't even know white people in Hollywood like that. But even I heard the stories about Weinstein. So if I'm not even in that circle and I'm hearing stories about Weinstein, you know he was a sick bastard. So I think the Harvey Weinsteins of the world need to be dealt with. But what's really happening now is this. Here are the new rules in this country right now. And I'm not even, we'll talk more about Tavis in a second, because I think there's more to that. There's obviously a racial dynamic, but there's more to the Tavis, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I will say this. The rule is this. Let me make it plain for anybody who doesn't understand. Do not, at your job, have sex with anybody that you work with, especially if they are at your same level or below. Maybe if they're at your same level, if you want to, if the person that you're sleeping with is hot, then maybe that's worth the risk. I don't know. But if they're beneath you, if they are your subordinate, then you will be accused of pretty much being damn near like a rapist. It doesn't matter if she hit on you. It doesn't matter if she saw a powerful, wealthy man and said, I want to get next to him. That's out the window now. Apparently, women no longer like wealthy and powerful men anymore. And apparently, we pretend like they don't, right? It doesn't matter if she hit on you. Doesn't matter. You got to treat it, honestly, like the same way you would if you were a girls' high school basketball coach, and she's 17, and you're 22, and she's hitting on you because y'all might be close to the same age and have a lot in common, and she's the aggressor. It doesn't matter, because when that situation is assessed by outside parties, they would say it doesn't matter if she was the aggressor. All that matters is that she's underage. So we know this, though, right? We know this. Most guys on here, I hope you understand, do not ever mess with an underage woman. It's not only unethical, but it's illegal, right? But now we are in a situation where a subordinate on the job is going to be treated by the court of public opinion in the court of corporate America as if she was an underage girl, as if you like literally, if you analyze and you pay close attention to how these cases are being analyzed and it's really a white woman thing. Let's just be real. The sisters can't really get the respect. I mean, I saw a video of a black woman who talked about how somebody almost raped her and nobody really paid attention. Everybody was calling her all kinds of names and all that stuff. But for a white woman especially, they've really shaped the language such that if you are the boss of another person, you don't even have to be the big boss. You're just a boss. If you are the boss, if you're the manager of that department, and some hot woman that you work with decides that y'all want to sleep together, and it doesn't work out, you don't give her what she wants, she doesn't get a promotion, you don't give her, she asks for a raise and you say no, or let's say that she's incompetent and you fire her, then she can come back and say, the reason he fired me was because I wouldn't give him no more sex. I was giving him the vagina and I wouldn't give it to him anymore, and that's why he let me go. It doesn't matter how competent she was or was not, that's how they're going to interpret that. So I'm not telling people what to do, I'm just telling you what it is. Right now you live in a real interesting era where we're dealing with a very real problem of sexism with what can only be defined as extreme overkill. White feminists do not play. They are really serious in their efforts to destroy white men, and they really want to destroy black men. They really think that you represent toxic masculinity, as they call it, because you simply want to keep your testicles attached to your body, or because even if you somehow believe that the man should play some important role in the household or be the head of the household or anything like that, you're pretty much defined as a borderline rapist. They kind of lump it all together now. Now they got they lump together rape and sexual assault and sexual harassment all into one group, and they clump together and say we're all survivors. When really you got one lady who's been severely, who's really been traumatized, who's really been actually raped, standing next to another woman who says, "Oh, well, I was on the street and a man whistled at me, so we're both victims. We're both victims, right? We're both survivors of the same horrific rape culture that affects us all." Well, no, I'm sorry, it's not the same, right? We know that the poor woman who was a victim of sexual assault, or even the poor woman who's been severely harassed or threatened or been a victim of domestic violence is not the same as the white woman who's mad because she walked down the street and somebody said, "Girl, you look good in that dress." It ain't the same thing. It's not the same. But the fact of the matter is that they are shaping the rules in whatever way they want. You are in the Matrix and they are Neo. And if you remember, Neo shaped the Matrix and made it whatever he wanted. They will change the rules on your ass in a minute. So you got to be careful. Now, somebody asked me, they said, "Dr. Boyce, are you next?" Hell fucking no. And let me tell you why I'm not next. Why do you think I don't work for white people anymore? Why do you think I used to work for white people when I quit my job? It ain't because I hate all white people. I have many, many friends who are white. Like black, they say to us, I got many black friends. I don't hate white folks. I get together with my white friends and we have a lot of fun. You know why we can have fun? Because I have a whole lot more fun when I ain't working for your ass. When I'm not working for you, when I'm the boss, we have a ball. But when we're together and I have to do the yes and massa, yes sir, no sir, and how can I fit in, and how do I code switch so that you don't feel uncomfortable with me because I'm smarter than you? That doesn't work very well. I can't get on my knees for too long. My knees get tired real fast, and then I stand up. So at the end of the day, for black men, I would just give my best advice I can give you anywhere is you get together with some other black men and go take a class on how to start a business. Every black man in this country needs to learn how to start a business. Think about it like farming. Like everybody, if you lived in the 1700s, everybody should know how to farm and hunt, right? Well, now everybody needs to learn how to farm and create a business where you can make your own money and be free and be independent. Because I'm telling you, corporate America has lost its mind. They literally have gone insane with this thing. And the thing is, it's unfortunate because if you make a statement like this, it can come off to some people as if you don't believe in the rights of women and respecting women. That's not true. I was raised by women. Women gave me strength. The black women in my life are the loves of my life. They empower me in a million ways imaginable. I've vowed to them my whole entire life, and I always will. But stupidity is stupidity. And what's really happening really is the white feminists, to me, what their mentality is. This is why I have an issue when black women become feminists, when they become white feminists in blackface. I think black women should have their own equality, women's equality movement. It shouldn't be linked to white feminism and Margaret Sanger and all this other chaos, because they're literally insane. But the big problem is that what you're looking at is a gender warfare between white men and white women. They don't want to just achieve equality and fairness. They want to destroy white men. They want to literally take their penises away. Did y'all know that in the turn of the 20th century, they did a campaign where they were trying to get women to smoke more cigarettes? And the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the great psychologist, was one of the heads of this campaign. So he went and he consulted with his uncle, and the uncle said, well, on a subconscious basis, the cigarette can be parallel to the man's penis. So you can convince women in an ad that by getting the cigarettes, they're taking away the power of the male penis. And you know what they did? They ran the campaign, and the shit worked. It worked. They got a whole lot of women smoking cigarettes by convincing them that if you smoke a cigarette, you're taking away a man's penis, right? So my point in all this is to say that at the end of the day, you're looking at a really toxic interaction between white men and white women. Basically, feminists, for the most part, especially the extreme ones, white feminists, they really kind of want to oppress white men the same way white men have oppressed them for all these years. It's built on sort of an ideology that's built on selfishness, a lack of any sort of accountability, very hyper-aggressive very hyper-aggressive victimhood, meaning that I'm going to be the victim, but I'm going to be a very aggressive victim, right? So on one hand, I'm going to tell you that I'm equal to you. I can do anything you can do. But then on the other hand, if we both get drunk and we both have sex when we're both drunk, I'm going to somehow convince the world that you were fully responsible for everything you did, but I'm not responsible at all for what I did. I was drunk. There's no way I could have consented to having sex with you. How could I consent? I was drunk. Well, while at the same time, I'm saying that me being drunk means that I could never have said yes to you. I could never have consented to you. You are fully responsible for everything you did while you were drunk. That's weird to me. That doesn't make any, that's not logical. That doesn't make any sense. How can two drunk ass people have sex and one person say, I wasn't responsible for what I did while I was drunk, but you're fully responsible for what you did while you were drunk? I'm a black man. If I get drunk and I go out here and shoot somebody while I'm drunk, can I go to the judge and say, well, Your Honor, I've been hanging out with white women and they told me that if you're drunk, you're not responsible for what you did. You don't have any accountability for what you did. He's going to say, no, nigga, get your ass in jail. He's not going to care. So the fact is that this is it's laced with sort of this gender war mixed with racism and white privilege. It's white privilege 101, and it's created a really distorted reality. So what you're seeing now is you're starting to see the bougie Negroes getting caught up in this reality. Tavis, God bless him. I like Tavis, but Tavis is cool. Tavis, very, very smart guy, very good television host, very talented, cared deeply about the black community, but he was rolling with them white folks. You watch his show. Every time I turn on the show, click, click. Oh, another one. Tavis is interviewing some other important white person. He must be special. He's better than the rest of us. Look, there's that actor. There's Clint Eastwood. There's whoever it is. There's Kevin Spacey. Like that was what Tavis did, and it was like I'm happy for him because I'm not doing that shit. I don't really care about interviewing Brad Pitt. I'd rather talk to David Manning. I'd rather, you know what I mean? Like I don't really care about Charlize Theron. I'd rather speak to I don't know, Shaquita Graham or Noma Langdon, Michelle Moses, or somebody from my community, right? I'm not really caring. I don't really perceive proximity to white people to mean somehow my status is elevated. But that's what black people do. We tend to think that when they start liking us and start letting us in, that we have somehow arrived. Jazz hands, right? I've arrived. I'm better now, right? And the fact is that you might think you've arrived and you might think you have power, but you really ain't got no power because you're just borrowing somebody else's power. You have proximity to power, but as you're observing, that power can easily be taken away. So if your power, the thing that defines you, can be easily taken away from you, the question you must ask yourself is, did you have any power in the first place? No, you didn't have any power. You were Pinocchio, but you thought you was a real boy, right? Now, I'm not talking about Tavis in this situation. This ain't diss on Tavis at all. This is just really sort of speaking to you about this whole idea that somehow we think we're doing better as black people when we get away from other black people. But really, you're not gaining strength. You're actually putting yourself at risk. Right? So let me read more of this article because I stand by Tavis to a point. I mean, but again, I don't know. Like I don't know the nature of the allegations. Maybe he really did something horrible. Maybe maybe somebody's accusing him of something that is unacceptable. I don't know. I mean, but if all they're accusing him of is using his penis, then shit. If you ain't guilty, you should be, because penises they're meant to be used. They're used for reproduction. But using it in the workplace, I remember, I'll never forget my daddy. My daddy's real crass, and my daddy said to me, when I took my job at Syracuse University, my daddy sat me down, he said, don't you fuck nothing on that campus. I'll never forget it. I said, yes, sir. And I was not interested in that. It didn't matter. You could have been as fine as Beyonce with the office right next to me. But the fact that we worked together led me to say, nope, can't do it. Well, thank you. And so ultimately, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying, if you do make a decision like that, just know that there are risks that come with that. And the world ain't fair. If you got a son that's going off to college, you probably a lot of y'all got 17, 18, 16-year-old sons that are going to be headed off to these big white universities one day. God bless them. They'll be in a nice fancy school. But you got to warn them. You got to warn these boys. Some of these guys get up here and they hanging with their boys and the football team. They getting drunk with the white girls and new girl every other night, which, by the way, that's a great way to catch a disease if you're trying to do that. But whatever, I ain't judging. And all it takes is one. All it takes is one. One crazy woman or somebody who feels guilty who says, he raped me. It may not even remember what happened. Be like, he raped me. He took it. That I was drunk. And all she has to say is, I was drunk. which means that I was not capable of consenting to sex, and that nigga raped me. And before you know it, his life is over. Did y'all know this? Did y'all know? Go research. This is interesting. I'm not even defending Mike Tyson because he's hard to defend. Mike is all over the place. But did you guys know that that there was an ex-boyfriend of Desiree Washington, a white guy actually, who desperately tried to get his statement into the courtroom, where he basically said that, Desiree falsely accused me of rape. We had sex, and because she was a Christian, so-called good Christian girl, you gotta watch the good Christian girl. They always do it. But anyway, she was so much a good Christian girl that she felt guilty when they had sex, and she told her father that he raped her. And he was like, "What? I didn't rape you. What are you talking about?" And she literally just made it up. And so there's a lot to this that you don't know. And it doesn't mean that every bad person is a good person. Nobody would say that. There are some people out here that do horrible things to people, and they should be dealt with. But right now, it's an environment that's very, very hypersensitive in the sense that any little thing can lead to the cascade of allegations. So anyway, let me keep reading. So it says Representative Smiley did not immediately respond to comment or to a request for comment. The investigation found credible allegations that Smiley had engaged in sexual relationships with multiple subordinates, sources said. So think about this. They're saying that he was having sex with people that he worked with. And if you're Tavis Smiley and you run the whole damn company, everybody's a subordinate. So that basically means Tavis is not allowed to use his dick anywhere in the workplace. That's kind of what it's saying, right? That's pretty much what it's in the workplace, outside the workplace, whatever. And that creates an awfully interesting dynamic, because you can imagine that if it was the case, can you even imagine the possibility that a multi-millionaire, tall, handsome, multi-millionaire black man who's famous around the world, would you think that maybe somebody might hit on him at some point? Do you think that at some point somebody would say, I think I want to have sex with that guy, right? And do you think that at some point somebody said, if I have sex with that guy, then that could be good for my career? Do you think that happens? And do you think that every time that occurs that somebody's being victimized or harassed or assaulted? Do you think that in every single situation that occurs, that it's always a matter of somebody saying, if you don't have sex with me, then you won't get this job, you won't get this role? Or do you think that there are also situations where somebody says, well, since we had, a subordinate may say, since we've had sex, I expect special treatment, I expect special privileges, I expect special opportunities, right? So I'm not saying that, I'm not even telling people what to do with that information. I'm just asking you to think for yourself and process this. All right, so the investigation found credible allegations that Smiley had engaged in sexual relations with multiple subordinates. Some witnesses interviewed expressed concern that their employment status was linked to the status of a sexual relationship with Smiley. In general, witnesses, now that's interesting because we know that does happen, right? We know that can occur. I think it's tough to prove because if you don't get the job that you want, or if I come in and I say, we had sex, I want you to give me a $100,000 a year raise, and you say, hell no, then I could say, well, see, you had sex with me and you're not giving me this raise because I'm not having sex with you anymore. Or I could say, because you didn't give me the raise, I'm not going to have sex with you anymore, right? So either one of those dynamics could occur, but either one of those work in my favor if I'm the subordinate, right? So anyway, in general, witnesses described Smiley as creating a verbally abusive and threatening environment that went beyond what could be expected in a typical high-pressure work environment. Several expressed concerns about retaliation. This ain't out of the question. I'll just be honest. I have heard about Tavis's temper. I have heard that, I've heard things about Tavis being mad at people, but that I don't know if that necessarily makes him into a harasser, an assaulter, or whatever it is that they're trying to say that he is. Smiley has hosted, at the very least, I think there should be proof. There should be clear proof and evidence when you ruin a person's career. I don't know if they're going to do due diligence. I think they're probably just going to, because corporate America doesn't like risk. Corporate America does not like anything that generates risk or controversy or anything else. I think that what they're going to probably do is they're probably going to just dump Tavis just to keep it safe. Is that good or bad? I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or the other because I support women, so I can't really sit here and just say, oh, well, Tavis is good and he's a great guy and he couldn't have done anything wrong. I don't know. I've never been around when Tavis has had sex or anything like that. So I'm not going to sit here and speak to that. What I can speak to is what I see. What I see is an environment that it has what was called McCarthyism. Anybody remember McCarthyism? Where literally everybody was being accused of stuff, and it had to do with the Russians, right? Everybody was accused of being down with Russia, even if you didn't actually do it. And next thing you know, your life is ruined just because you have the stain of an allegation on top of you. And I don't think anybody deserves that. I think everybody deserves justice. So in a February piece in The Observer, Jacquez Haizaga, a former producer on Smiley's television show, wrote that Smiley, quote, misogyny is always creeping around, barely camouflaged by Midwestern good manners. Now, that's a statement that could be, that's libelous. You could be sued for saying some shit like that. I mean, you don't know. I mean, that's your speculation. Like, if you can prove things that he's done, I understand that. But if you're just saying it because that's your opinion, you literally, could just be, and I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if this Haizaga person is a white woman. Because white women think all black men are sexist for the most part. They pretty much think unless the black men are feminized or unless the black men are, those like guys who want to act white. They think black men, they don't like the masculinity of black men. They kind of just think that we're all a bunch of creeps. Haizaga describes Smiley's picking up a woman at the Orlando airport and bringing her along on a reporting trip as a quote-unquote fuck buddy. Now, I'm curious, did Tavis refer to her as a fuck buddy, or are you referring to her as a fuck buddy? Were you there when they were fucking? Do you really think? I mean, how do you know this? What is your perception of it? Like, are you also somehow denigrating this woman by reducing her to being nothing but a sex object? When the fact of the matter is that everybody has sex. Maybe they were having sex. Maybe she also was good at her job. Why would you assume that he has a fuck buddy when you really don't know for sure? So anyway, let me see. So she says, alleged that Smiley had a romantic relationship with another producer and quoted Smiley denigrating PBS executives. So I'm going to look at this article. So this article in The Observer by Jacquez Haizaga. I don't even know if Jacquez Haizaga is a I assume it's a woman. I don't know if it's a white woman or black woman. Let me look her up. Let me Google this. JAC. While I do this, please hit the share button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please join the tribe. Also, tell everybody about our podcast where we talk about real shit, not bullshit. When we talk about it in an intelligent way. Okay, so Jacques is a man. So maybe it's not Jacquez, maybe it's just Jacques. And let's see here. So Jacques, right, in this article, he says, I shouldn't say this, but there's so much empty space here. I don't really see why a pipeline couldn't be built in the state. Tavis Smiley tells me as we were driving on the snowy 2-lane road through the vast nothingness of the North Dakota plains. The owner, he says, quote, the owner of the pipeline, Kelsey Warren, was a contributor to the Trump campaign, and Trump himself had invested in energy transfer partnership. I tell him, so this whole Occupy reservation camping thing is pointless anyway, blah, 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 blah. I'm writing this piece for Time Magazine, he answers. This is what Tavis said. I want you to work on it. I've just heard my former boss at BET, Bob Johnson, is already trying to appease Trump and be his best friend. He's saying that we should give Trump a chance. He's trying to be all righteous now. But the guy made his money selling musicians short by not paying royalties, about promoting videos about pimps and hoes. What a joke! So this is him revealing Tavis's personality. So he's concerned about Bob Johnson promoting videos, talking about pimps and hoes and all this other stuff. But yet somehow I guess this guy concludes Tavis is a sexist, even though it sounds to me like he's exactly the opposite in this statement. He's basically saying that the denigration and the disrespect of women is a concern to him. So let's see here. So he says, I look in the back seat of the car and I see Blanca, a young woman that Tavis, Blanca doesn't sound like a sister, does it? But Blanca, a young woman that Tavis had picked up at the Orlando airport and brought along as a fuck buddy. Quote, look at her. She's so stupid, he tells me, during our stopover from New York to Bismarck and Chick-fil-A in Minneapolis. He says, that Tavis says, quote, how am I going to carry all this food in my bags now? I specifically told her to wait for us, he tells me angrily. Tavis's misogyny is always creeping around, barely camouflaged by Midwestern good manners, and lined with the most duplicitous guys who always open doors, buy flowers, carry luggage, until their girlfriends end up scrambling from Hotline 800 number. I don't even know what that means. That doesn't even make any sense. I don't see anything wrong with opening doors, buying flowers, and carrying luggage for a woman, but maybe that makes me a sexist. I don't know.
let's see, quote, he says, you have to call Johnson of Booker T. Washington in your timepiece. I tell him after reading his first draft. As senior producer on Tavis Smiley show, I wasn't exactly sure how I was rewriting his op-eds for USA Today and Time Magazine with my name nowhere to be seen on the byline. A direct violation of every deontological WGA rule that his op-ed editors, Claire Howarth at Time Magazine and Joe Lawrence at USA Today, surely would be surprised to discover. So this is the guy who's pissed at Tavis, basically. He's writing this vendetta piece. He's saying, Tavis used me, Tavis had me writing, ghostwriting and stuff, and he never gave me credit. So the question becomes, if somebody hates your guts, and they go out and they're speaking negatively about you and they're attacking you in public,
should you at least consider the fact that this person is not a friend of Tavis's? It should at least be considered that maybe he ain't Tavis's homeboy, right? So anyway, he says, I was in London last year when the lead camp won, and I emailed Tavis about what I had observed. Although big cities like London, and so apparently he really enjoyed using Tavis to elevate his own career while he worked with him. Although big cities like London, which has just elected a Muslim mayor, Sadiq Khan, overwhelmingly voted for Remain, Brexit happened in England because provincial blue collars voted for it. People who had voted Labour all their lives, blah, blah, blah. There's like a bunch of crap in there. More shocking than Brexit was to see Tavis the next weekend on Face the Nation, on a Face the Nation repeat to John Dickinson, word for word, what I had told him. So basically he's saying Tavis stole my ideas. Tavis went on Face the Nation. He repeated what I said. And so the guy, it looks like he wrote this piece as kind of a hit piece. Let's see here. He quotes Tavis as saying, I hate the people who run PBS. I hate Beth Hope, Mary Nelson, Mishi. Tavis once told me, every single one of them, they hate me too. I don't take their calls. I don't return their emails. I'm the only black guy on PBS. All these white people are waiting on me to tumble. My show is very fragile, like a Fabergé egg. Don't drop it. So Tavis is feeling, apparently at PBS, what about 85% of you are feeling right now on your job. 85% of you who work on the corporate plantation, I'm willing to bet you, are feeling the exact same way. I bet you that if I got most of you in a room and said, tell me about your life at work every day. What's it like working around all those white people? I don't know. I haven't seen a white man in 2 weeks. Tell me what that's like. You would probably say, hey, Dr. Boyce, let me tell you what these white people are doing to me on my job. So Tavis, again, Tavis' mistake, in my opinion, is really trusting these liberals. I'm going to tell you, this guy sounds liberal as shit. But these liberals will fuck you in the ass just like a conservative will, especially if you're a black man, because they don't identify with your values. Tavis is a black man who comes out of the church. He came out of the Pentecostal church, if I'm not mistaken. Tavis got some old school values that white liberals will never appreciate. White liberals want to kill God. They ain't got no respect for nothing having to do nothing with God. Just go pay attention to their party platform. They hate the idea of Christianity and all of that. So Tavis, your black ass comes out of the Midwest, out of Indiana, Pentecostal, you still got those roots. You still rooted in the community. You still a real brother. You're doing your thing, and you're navigating in this other world where the white liberals have taken you under their wing. They're hooking you up with $30,000 speaking engagement. But let me tell you what, and I think Tavis knows it. Tavis is a smart man. I ain't preaching. I'm not even trying to give Tavis any coaching. God knows he don't need my coaching. Tavis is brilliant. But you know that the minute your ass is not in line with their agenda, they will chop your head off and mail it to your mama. And with your balls in the second package, they will chop you down in a minute. So basically, this guy, this liberal who buddied up with Tavis, got Tavis all comfortable, got him sharing all his secrets and telling all his, saying all the things that are politically incorrect. And this guy gets hooked up with another white media outlet, The Observer, and says, oh, I'm going to get this nigga now. I'm going to take this nigga down, and I'm going to reveal. Think about this. How disrespectful is that to any sort of code of friendship? If you're going to go in and right after you finish work, I mean, stand on Tavis's nutsack for the last 10 years or how many years you'll work with him, using him, connecting with him. He was clearly the boss, or you would have been running your own operation. Tavis was the boss. So you're using this man, and the minute y'all not working together,
you go and reveal every single secret he ever shared, and quoting him in ways that are interesting, right? It's different if you have a recording of text, but literally he's quoting him, and they're publishing this shit like it's real. This is based on this man's memory. How many of you can remember word for word what your best friend said to you 4 years ago? You can't remember it word for word, but you're gonna make it into what you need it to be. You're gonna embellish it, whatever. So he's quoting him. They're printing this crap. And the thing is that you can have an issue with Tavis if you want to. Maybe Tavis fired you and y'all left on bad terms. Maybe y'all ain't friends no more. You can say, me and Tavis used to work together, but I don't really mess with him no more, but I wish him well. That's what you do if you are a decent human being. But when you run around like a little bitch up here just reciting every private conversation word for word, that says more about you than it says about him. Seriously, I have people that I have worked closely with who have told me things that would literally flip your heads wide open right now. If I told you some of the stuff I heard, and I've been close with a lot of people I don't really talk to as much. Al Sharpton is an example. I used to work very closely with Al Sharpton back in 08, 09. And I will tell you what I think about Sharpton's politics. I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of that. But I heard a lot of private conversations, and you will never hear that coming out of my mouth. I will never write an article and say, well, on November 3rd, Al said this to me, and then he said this about Barack Obama, and he said this about black people. When I saw him, he had a dog, and I saw he stole the dog. That's what he did. He stole the dog. He's a dog thief. Like I wouldn't do that, because that's not what a man does. That's not respect. That would tell you what kind of a snake I was, as opposed to me saying anything negative about him. You can say, if you actually got Sharpton and say, he's a brilliant man, one of the most brilliant human beings I've ever been around in my life. But politically, I ain't messing with him no more. That's what I would say. So the thing about it, though, is that, there's more to this article. You can look it up. Just Google it. I ain't going to read any more of this shit. This guy's full of crap. But this is what they do to you. They will string your black ass up if you get out of line. And so when you dancing with the devil, don't get mad. Like my friend Bishop Lennon says, when you dance with the devil, don't get upset if the devil feels on your booty, because that's what the devil does. And so when you're black, here's your choices pretty much. If you don't believe in black, if you don't believe that there's any strength in the black community, if you don't believe black people have the ability to create our own media, our own businesses, none of that, and you feel like you got to pick a side, like living in a neighborhood where you got the Crips on one block and the Bloods on the other, you feel like, and you don't feel strong enough to form your own coalition, then you got to join a gang, right? So here's what you got. If you're black, you can go become a Republican, which means you've got to pretty much sell out in every way imaginable, and you end up sort of agreeing to shit that doesn't make any sense. You end up following along with a doctrine that is incredibly racist and oppressive and horrific, right? Or you can become a Democrat, which means that you pretty much get, they just rape you softly. That's what they do. They rape you gently. They give you Vaseline before they fuck you. And pretty much the Democrats, what the Democrats and the liberals kind of do is they say, come on in here, Negro. We'll bring you in. Here's your talking points. We need you to memorize all these talking points. So when it comes to gay rights, we need you to believe this. When it comes to immigration, we need you to say that. When it comes to feminism, we need you to say that. And when it comes to faith and religion, we need you to say that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reward you. We're going to give you a little talking point like people like police brutality or whatever, or whatever it is. And we need you to stay in line. And if you get out of line, if you piss us off, if you show us anything, if you remember that we're getting together in this partnership, but it ain't really a partnership, right? No black person has ever formed a productive partnership with the Democratic Party ever. It's never been a productive, equal partnership. What it is it's an occupation. It is an occupation. So what they'll do is they'll say, you're here with us. You're going to wear the clothes we put on you. And you have no right to bring anything from your community into this space unless we find it agreeable. And the way we perceive you as black people is that if you really had it in power, you wouldn't be here begging us to help you out. If you had your own media, you wouldn't be trying to get a show on PBS. If you really had your own politics, you wouldn't be trying to get down with the Democrats and liberals. If you really had your own businesses, you wouldn't be begging for a job from us. And so we're going to take good care of you, and we're going to hook you up. But you need to understand who the boss is. And so what will occur is that they will remind you that the way they see black people is not an empowered, independent group of people capable of their own thinking, our own analysis, our own conclusions, developing our own institutions. They see you as a charity case. That's how they see you. And any black person who deviates from that is not going to be well received. I am not well received by the liberals because I will give you the finger in a minute. I can sit down and be your buddy 1 minute and sit and talk turkey with you, but I make it very, very clear. I got my peoples over here. You got your people over there. We building over here. You building over there. You educating your children. I respect that because I'm educating my children. That's how we do things. You step too far, you get too disrespectful, we're going to have a problem. And so, and at the end of the day, black people, you got to grow your balls back. You don't have no testicles. That's why nobody respects you. And that's why you're seeing all these black public figures getting hung out to dry, getting chopped down. It's not over yet. It's going to continue. I forget who else. There's some other people that's been going through this stuff. I can't remember all the names that have been hit. Tavis is one of the biggest black names, but somebody else got. I know Roland just lost his show with TV1. Which is, so this is a bad time for black journalism. Tom Joyner's going to be gone. I mean, literally in 1 month, you're going to see 3 of the most prominent, most respected black journalists disappear. I don't know where they're going to go. Maybe they'll all go form a YouTube channel or something. But at the end of the day, you got to just think about what it is. It's not like this wasn't predictable. This is always in the cards. If you ain't never got no power, that power that you think you got can always be taken away. So first, learn what power is, and then go get some. So with Tavis, I wish Tavis the best. I do not in any way have any ill will toward Tavis. I mean, after a while, when you've been around different people in this industry, you have different sentiments up and down. Sometimes you're mad at each other, sometimes you're not. But I don't think he deserves all this right now. I think that he deserves a fair hearing. I think that he deserves justice. That's it. That's all I ask for Tavis is justice. I'm not even saying that Tavis deserves, that Tavis is totally clear of anything he's being accused of. I'm just saying, just be fair to the man. But the thing about it is that if he's working for those white folks, then he runs his company, so maybe he's gonna be fine. I don't know. I hope he is. But when you mess with these other folks, it's like you can't even ask for justice because that's not your house. It's their rules, their house, their rules. Period. And so learn how to build a house, black man. That's how you get power. Build your own house, or build a house with other people who think like you. I build houses with other black people. Sometimes we partner with people who are not black, but in every partnership, we know where our power base is, so that if the partnership doesn't work out or we have a disagreement, we always have somewhere to go. You must always have a home base, or terrible things like this will happen, where you'll literally get fired on your day off, and like Pleasel or whatever his name was on Friday, and you won't even know why. You'll be I know a million brothers getting fired on their day off and don't even understand why the white lady decided to get rid of them. I was in that category for a long time, and I said I'm either get rich or die trying. I'm either get the hell up out of here and stand on my own 2 feet, or I'm just gonna die in misery, whatever it takes. I am not gonna be your slave. I am not gonna be your boy. I'm not gonna be your subordinate for life. Because God meant for me to have a higher purpose. And I believe that everybody in here listening, God has a higher purpose for you too. And I encourage you to go find out what that is. Life is too short. The clock is ticking. You're gonna be dead one day. Go find your purpose right now. I gotta go. I'm about to do something with Lene Javette in my Black Wealth year. That's one of the classes we have in the Black Wealth Boot Camp. If you're interested in taking a look at it, it's myblackwealthyear.com. Feel free to go check it out. That's myblackwealthyear.com. It's a great program. It's a year long. It's for families that want to build wealth. And I think the first month is even free. So feel free to check it out. That's myblackwealthyear.com. So take care, everybody. I'm gone. Have a good night. And once again, I wish Tavis the best. And do not interpret this in any way as me having an issue with Tavis. I think Tavis is he's a brilliant journalist and a brilliant black man. He's done so much for the community, and it's shameful for him to be treated this way. That's kind of what happens when you go in that territory. So take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.